Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Life Without Limits, where there are no limits to what you can achieve. My name is Joan Kaler. I am an international coach, trainer, and speaker. My passion is to help people get rid of anxiety, panic attacks, phobias, traumas, hair pulling, and skin picking. That's what I love to do. And find me on Facebook, Instagram, and definitely joankaler.com. Today, I am absolutely thrilled and honored to have our guest on. My guest has a wonderful story to tell of her journey. She is an actress, and she was on the daytime drama of The Doctors, so you may very well recognize her. Ms. Amy Gibson. We were introduced by a mutual friend. I have only talked with Amy a couple times, but one thing I can tell you, she has a heart of gold. She shares the same passion that I do for helping people, specifically women with hair loss. So we share the passion of helping women regain their confidence and self-worth and self-esteem by helping them through their hair loss issues. So I'm going to bring Amy on. I know she is here in my Zoom room. So we're going to bring her in shortly. Okay. Here she is. I'm getting better at this. I'm going to promote her to panelist. And she will be coming in to join us. Amy! Oh my goodness. Now, Amy, you need to check your sound. As an actress, I know you know how to do that. Just go to the lower left there and check your microphone.
Got it?
Yes.
How's that?
Perfect. Sound. Great. We have liftoff.
Great.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It's such an honor to have you on.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. So here I am telling everyone about what you do. Amy is the founder of Created Hair. And the reason she founded Created Hair because she has the condition of alopecia. So Amy, I'm going to be quiet for once in my life. And if you wouldn't mind sharing with our viewers and listeners your story.
Okay. First of all,
what alopecia is, in case there's someone who says, what the heck is alopecia?
Mm-hmm. Well, alopecia is an immune disorder. It hits about 5 million people a year. And it's, in real simple terms, it's where the white blood cells feel that there's an infection, so it starts fighting against itself, and the result is hair loss. But in the last couple of years, it's almost like the word alopecia is used for any type of hair loss. It doesn't have to be an immune disorder. So I seem to think that alopecia and hair loss end up sounding and becoming the same, because the result of somebody losing their hair, regardless of the condition that's causing it, the result of the emotional trauma, the physical trauma, the confusion, the fear, the anxiety, the grief, the depression, it happens regardless of the medical condition. So yes, I had alopecia starting when I was on my first soap, Love of Life, when I was 13. Nominated for Emmy, but I was 13 and a half. And at 13 and a half, I was in the makeup room, and the hair guy said, well, let's comb your hair, brush your hair. And I was known for this like gorgeous mane of hair, right? And I put my head over, and he said, Aim, you have a bald spot the size of the palm of your hand. And this guy was always pulling pranks, so I thought he was kidding, until he showed me a rearview mirror, like a little hand mirror. And there was this huge spot that was like this. And at first, I was so intrigued, because when do you actually ever see your scalp, right? I'm like, wow, my scalp is like really smooth. There's no bumps, so pretty. And then I started like, I wonder what else is going to fall off me. I think I had watched a documentary on leprosy recently prior to this happening. So when this happened, I thought, oh my God, am I going to lose like an arm or a leg? And I think many people feel that. What's next? What's in the unknown? What's around the corner? What does this mean? Right.
Mhm.
And then I went into a spin, and then I went to a dermatologist and was told that basically cortisone shots were the only way to go. And I did that for many, many years, 17 years. And it would bring my hair back, but it wouldn't stop the other hair loss from happening. And through my years of 20 years on soaps, including General Hospital, Young and the Restless, 10 years of all the Aaron Spelling shows, Vegas,
Oh,
Enough Day, One
wow.
Day at a Time, Happy Days, all this, nobody ever knew that I was dealing with this, because I found I always would know when I was getting an undergrounder, oh, gotta get my shot, oh, it's gonna fill it in. And they still do cortisone, they still do triamcinolone now, but then, and it's funny because when People Magazine covered me, they went to every single person that I'd ever worked with in the industry, and no one ever knew I wore wigs. So when I wrote the book that I came out with about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, called Sex, Wigs, and Whispers, it's not really about sex. It's really about how to live your life freely with a wig, whether it's with your employer, your lover, your friend, yourself, your dating, how to be intimate, how to have enough courage and getting up the confidence to be able to walk through this process. And yet I told a lot of my stories about the trials and tribulations of what goes on when somebody doesn't even know what alopecia is. And back then, nobody even talked about hair loss. At least people like you, I'm grateful, are bringing this to the forefront for so many women that, whether it's Elkins, Virginia, or small little cities where I get calls all the time, they don't know about wig tape. They don't even know what's causing their hair loss. They don't even know about taking a hormone test. I mean, all these things that lead
Yes.
and contribute. So then I stopped the cortisone shots when I had a reaction right before going on General Hospital, and all my hair fell out in 3 weeks. And that, I think, was when the reality set in, because prior to that, I was able to hide, right? Be able to hide. I was having a little hair loss, but I had it under control. I didn't know what I was going to do bald, and starting a show in 5 weeks. And so I talked the producer into turning this undercover detective role on General Hospital into one with 7 different looks and 7 different wigs and 7 different dialects to make these wigs work. And we kept it quiet. So the makeup people and hair people signed a confidentiality. The press never found out, because there was no Sinead O'Connor. There was no Pierces Combatus.
Mhm.
There was nobody that came forward before. And I was so afraid that I'd be ousted as some bald freak. Like, I'm a bald girl. Where do you see that? That's normal, right? So I found my way to lie my way through it. When people would ask me, I go, oh, do you like my new hair? Oh, yeah, thanks. Or someone would say, oh, God, I really love your hair. I go, really? Oh, because you can have it because it's not mine. I go, and I found all kinds of ways to bring humor, which is very important to this journey, because if you can't see the other side of it, you're never going to get there.
Yes.
And if you stay stuck in this umbrella of grief and destruction, and, you know, I struggle with my weight all the time, up and down, up and down. And it reminds me of what I go through with my clients with hair loss, because I have to see past that and go, you know what? I'm up 5 pounds, and hey, this is the way I am today, and see through that. Well, the same thing with someone with hair loss. You know, there are times I can't get that weight off me for another year. It's just the way my thyroid is going for that year, or whatever it may be. And I've learned to accept what is. I think a big part of the hair loss process, there's different stages, as you know. There's the shock,
Right.
there's the grief, the understanding, the forgiveness of ourselves. We often forgive bring it upon ourselves. I remember my mom, I was like 14 and a half, and I walked by her door and she was crying. I said, what's up? And she said, did I have an extra glass of wine when I was pregnant with you? I said, how the hell would I know if you had wine? She goes, you know, I didn't drink. I'm just trying to think, what did I do to bring this on? I said, Ma, this is an unknown, unpredicted condition. You had nothing to do with this. And many parents believe that it's something, an extra glass of wine. The husband thinks it's his sperm. There's also this guilt that goes on that's been transferred to the child unconsciously. And the truth is, it's an unpredicted thing. And all we can do, as I always say, is deal with today. What do we need to do today to make ourselves okay. Is it getting a wig? Is it getting a topper? Is it getting your face cleaned and a good facial if you haven't done it? Is it cutting your hair into a different style that you haven't looked at before that maybe would make it rock with a little topic that's covering up your hair loss and like make you rock for a moment if you're not ready for a wig? But doing nothing is just takes you backwards. You got to be proactive with this thing. And I think what I've noticed is the minute you take that step to get proactive, like everything falls to the wayside, right?
Mm-hmm.
I work with 99% cancer patients, and I see 5 patients a day, and I work 7 days a week.
Wow.
And they have to not only, I always say that the woman going through hair loss, boy, she has got to reach deeper than any other woman to find out what makes her tick, because she's no longer can depend on this,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we have to find out a few more things about ourselves. But the woman who has cancer has to make some serious decisions to do anything she can to want to stay here. So in between going through tremendous physical challenges, she then has to lose her crown and glory and still walk around with a smile on her face for her kids in fear, so she doesn't want to scare them, or her husband knowing that he's in fear. And I always say those are my heroes. So women that are going through hair loss seem to be a little more in touch on a soulful level because we've had a little bit more of a struggle to get there.
Yes.
And so in knowing that, there's a process. And if you don't allow yourself to first face reality and then go, okay, I'm depressed, and let yourself scream and cry and do whatever it is. I had a nervous breakdown when I lost my hair. So I had to let myself go through that for 5 days and throw up and then eat a lot and then throw up again and do whatever I had to do to get it together, right? And get really good therapy. And then it's like, there has to come a point where you say, you know what, I'm tired of sitting in my SHI, you know what. I'm getting out of it, and I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to leave whatever this is behind and start my new, fresh life. And I think the thing that's most important to understand is if you're wearing a wig, it's not a second scalp. It's always going to be something on your head. People tend to think that they're not going to feel anything. You're going to feel something.
Oh, yeah. I remember back in the day when I was pulling out my hair, Ava Gabor made a mint on me. And then, when it got hot and it would slide back and I'd have to pull it forward. That's before all the technology. Not like that
anymore. The wigs, at least that I do, and many wigs out there now are much lighter.
Yes.
And the bases are much thinner. I mean, I have a new wig line coming out called Fresh Hair that is, is very thin, has lining that's totally breathable and really helps with the sensitivity of whatever level of alopecia you're dealing with or chemotherapy side effects. And so you try to find something that is comfortable and that's going to look like you. But the main thing is to say, okay, you know what? I'm stuck with this, but I'm not going to just stop my life. I've got to move forward. And once you say enough, I'm ready, it's amazing how the universe responds. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing. Like all of a sudden you'll recognize someone and you'll say, God, I really like your hair. And they'll say, you know what? I got it from so-and-so. You should really call them. Now you normally would never meet that person. But when I started accepting what was going on, all of a sudden I started meeting all these people that were incredible, that really helped me through my journey,
Wow, you are so inspirational. I am so thrilled to have you on the show. And I received so many comments on Facebook and emails saying, oh, we're so excited that Amy's going to be on the podcast because she's so wonderful. So
well, I've been at this for a long time. So createdhair.com and salons has been around it's my 20th year in January. And then I worked pro bono at one of the local hospitals here for 19 by the breast cancer area. Oh. And it's really a mission here to make women understand and feel like who they are again from the inside out, with as little trauma as possible and as much joy as we can bring to that experience, which is not always easy. Yeah. It's not always easy, but we do it. It's always like mission accomplished at the end, but it's a journey, it's something that takes more than one visit sometimes, a little tweaking with the wig, a little taking in with alteration, a little color if it's necessary. And Kathleen Leonard, who was nominated for an Emmy for her work on The Voice and American Idol and stuff, is my main stylist, along with Vika Canis, who was at Folia for many years, and Brooklyn Boland, who's amazing at color. And these girls are like me in another body. So I can't say it's just me doing the work, because I have these wonderful people that hold me up and allow me to do what I want to do, right?
Wow. So everyone who's listening and watching, if you happen to have trichotillomania and you're listening to all this, the same process holds true while you're learning how to manage the urges and manage the behavior and manage your pulling and someday stop. You still, well, if there's anybody that understands the trauma of hair pulling, it's me. So you still need to grieve, scream, do whatever you need to do, and then know that there is life with or without hair. And that your self-esteem is not a matter of what's on top of your head. It's what's in your heart, what's in your soul, that you are beautiful and you are loved.
You're so sweet. Let me ask you something about you.
Mm-hmm.
With my trichotillomania clients, I do little things with them, like make them wear very thin gloves when they're either working, or if they're not around too many people where they're uncomfortable about that. I've often had them get really pretty colors in aqua or lavender and like just make a fun thing out of it if they're working. Did you wear gloves to help you stop? That happens from...
Well, this was a really long time ago, because I struggled from age 11 to age 36.
Wow.
Basically what helped me was finding other people who pulled, because sadly, it's more acceptable to have cancer than to tell somebody that you pull your hair out.
Got it.
It just sounds so weird to say that.
Got it.
What helped me was knowing that I was accepted for who I was, even though I pulled. So I found my tribe.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
I found my
There's
tribe.
a lot more people though, Joan, now dealing with hair loss, and it's so far, it's so out in the open. I mean, you can look online, there's so much information. I certainly have tons of videos out there. I'm always saying, write me at amy@createdhair.com and tell me what the hell's going on with you, and let me see how I can help you. But I do Skyping, 3 times a week, 3 hours a day. And it's not always having to do with a sale. It's somebody like, hey, my wig tape came off. What would you do? I mean, it's all kinds of things, right?
Well, I do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, yes, we have the strategies of the gloves or the Band-Aids or the fidget toys.
Right.
Different apps to remind us when we feel an urge. But then I go way deeper than that.
Right.
Because a lot of times it's about an unhappy event or a trauma that happened when they were young. So my passion is finding out how it started in the first place. Yes, it may have been hormonal and that may have triggered it, but it's rarely just the behavior. There's usually something, a story behind it.
Well, I stop at that point and give them a really good therapist named Nita Valance in Sherman Oaks. That's where, my mission, and I feel my responsibility, is to take somebody, give them full education, create something that makes them really look and feel like themselves, and try to be the support system that I'm capable of being up to where my license allows me to do that.
Right.
And when it goes beyond that, I really give them to Nita, because Nita's such an incredible therapist that she has, and she does a lot with trichotillomania people, but I mean, she has helped so many of my clients that I'll say, okay, now it's time for Dr. Nita. It's time that I step out, but I mean, that's important to know your limitations and how far you're
absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, but I
think for
like you, I talk to people all over the world.
Yeah. And I think for people who are watching, I think the most important thing that I found, that as long as you have the tools at your fingertips that allow you to do what you need to do to make you feel okay about yourself, that's half the battle. So are you wearing a wig with the right wig band, right? I have a new wig band coming out called Wig Secure, which you'll hear about for people with thinning hair and no hair. Are you wearing wig tape? Is there a way of keeping it on with clips? Do you know really how to wash it right? If you know all these things, then it's much easier for you to move naturally. But if you just buy a wig and you're not going to the right stylist, and then you're not reading up about how to really attach it correctly, and it's like sideways when you're wearing it, and you don't know that your knuckles should be even and the nape should hit the back, little things My new website, createdhair.com website, will be probably live. It's live now, but the new one will be live, I think, in a week and a half, where I have over 100 pages of text and information for people to be able to really go to and learn from. And we've taken 7 months to do it.
Wow.
Really,
Okay.
to give somebody like all the information they need so they're not lost and have to depend on trying to call somebody to get there. Bam, it's at your fingertips. And I really feel like that's part of the challenge, is having that available.
That's the question I get most often, Amy, is, well, can I wear a wig when I go swimming? Can I wear a wig when I go to the beach? And
Right.
okay, I'm going to put it out there. What happens in intimacy? Is the wig
Right.
going to fall off? How does it stay on? So what would you tell people?
Okay, so first we'll cover the swimming thing.
Okay.
If somebody, and again, it has to do with your finances, really. So if you have a synthetic wig and you really can't afford to buy another one, and you really don't want to destroy the one you have, whether it's human hair or synthetic, I want you to dampen it before going in the pool. I always say, can you wear a bathing cap and a cute one? There's some really cute ones out there. But if you don't want to do that, and you're really determined on wearing this piece, then I want you to wet down your hair a little bit. I want you to take a ton of conditioner, and I want you to go through the whole hair. Whether it's human hair or synthetic, what conditioner will do is prevent that chlorine from getting to the strands.
Ooh.
And then when you get out, go rinse it really well, right? If you're swimming, you're going to have to tape it down, or you're going to have to clip it down. A wig band won't keep it down if you're swimming, if you're diving and stuff. For intimacy, that's a whole nother thing. In sex wigs and whispers, I only have 5 sexual positions, and everything else is really intimacy. I remember, this is so crazy, this is actually recently of all things. I was at an event, and we went to this restaurant, and it was cold outside. I was sitting under the heat lamp, and I was wearing a synthetic piece. And I really didn't think about it. I just loved the heat, because I'm always cold from my thyroid stuff. And my husband went, oh my God, your piece on top is completely fried. Because we had sat there near the lamp so long. And I didn't think about it. Little things like that. So somebody says, well, is that going to happen out in the sun? Not really, but it happens more with electrical heat.
Okay.
So with swimming, I suggest a synthetic piece. I created the first women's swim wig with cyber hair, which was called Amy's Presence, which is now private issue. And it is a fantastic line for swimming. We created the cap so that water goes right through it. You can use tape or clips with it. And it's a really high spun fiber, a nylon fiber that's very different than the normal synthetics on the market that are made with something called Quinonelon, which tends to get a little drier, a little stiffer, and lose its shine. Where cyber hair, really, you can beat it up, and it will last a lot longer than most synthetics will last. So we do a swim wig, and I call it the water wig. Here it's created hair. So that is something for swimming. If someone really can't afford a cyber hair wig, because they do start at about $14.50, but they also last about 3 years, where most synthetics last a lot less than that. I say, okay, let's get an inexpensive synthetic for a couple $100, since you're not going to be wearing it every day. If you are, then get a couple, because you're going to go through them. And do what I told you to do. Put that conditioner if you're going to go into seawater or chlorine, and just protect it a little bit.
Well, what I've learned too, and you tell me what your experience is, that when you have a medical condition such as alopecia, such as cancer, such as trichotillomania, then if you have, we'll say, hopefully a decent insurance company, you can.
Really? What is that?
There's a code.
Did you say a decent insurance company? I'm sorry. Yeah. There is a procedural code, but most of them are not covering insurance right now. They're paying nothing or $300, and there's only a few, and Anthem is one of them, and depending on your policy. I know that anybody in the entertainment industry, the people who have really good benefits, I have a lot of law enforcement. Don't ask me why. They always call up and they go, excuse me, but I just want to know if my wig is going to fall off while I'm chasing my suspect. Hello, what precinct are you from? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know.
So they get great benefits. Our officers get benefits. Everybody in the Army gets great benefits, thank God. Our teachers get fantastic benefits. But the normal woman is really not being compensated like she should for something that is so important. They just don't recognize the importance of a wig. They just don't. And I spoke at the California Senate 5 years ago,
Wow.
fighting about this, and didn't get anywhere, and spoke to all these senators. It meant nothing. I mean, it was just very disheartening. And I know that there are wonderful people at the alopecia, at NAF and alopecia world, that are really trying to make a difference on the Hill. And I hope they have a little more help and a little more luck than I did. But, you know, if it were up to me, I'd be speaking all the time and everywhere, and, you know, fighting all the time for it. It's just hard. It's hard. And it takes a lot to go to the Hill.
Yep.
So meaning financially, time-wise, connections, lobbyists, etc. But I try to do what I can on my end without being at the Hill. But if I could be at the Hill, I would. I would. I think it's that important. But for certain procedural codes, as long as they get a prescription from their doctor that says they're dealing with hair loss, they need a cranial prosthesis.
Yes.
And there'll be something on my website under insurance reimbursement that explains it all. As long as they have that prescription, you can at least get some kind of reimbursement if your policy allows. I have noticed that the older policies seem to give a little bit more than the newer policies, especially corporate policies tend to give a little bit more. So, you know, and there are those few and far between that can get some kind of reimbursement from people who are signed up with Medicare that actually provide for Medicare. But to provide for Medicare will maybe get the retailer $50 back. So they're not going to sell a very expensive wig for that.
Right, right. Oh, all these options. However, the most important thing is that people can contact you for help. They can contact me for help. Website is createdhair.com. Right.
CREATED hair.com.
Yes.
877-367-9447, which is basically 877 FOR wigs. On Amazon, you can get Sex, Wigs, and Whispers book, and you can get my wig bag called the Rescue, RESQ bag, which is also available on wigs.com. And we have a lot of products entering on wigs.com starting in July. So you can keep your eye out for all the
There
products.
is a ton of help available. And then I happen to be mid-Atlantic. You're on the West Coast, but people come to us from all over.
But you know what? I'll tell you something. Vogue Wigs, VOGUE wigs.com. I consult for them as well. They have good tutorials, just like wigs.com does. Vogue Wigs is also a wonderful kind of home to get some information. Wigs.com has fantastic tutorials. Honestly, both these houses work really hard to bring as much information that they can. So yes, I love being contacted, but I also want you to know there are other people, good people out there that they can also call.
Well, you are absolutely beautiful, and what you're wearing is gorgeous. I'm grateful.
This is my Maui t-shirt. This is my Maui. This is what I fly in.
Oh, nice.
Thank you. But you've been very kind to have me on, Joan. And I really
my
trying to get the word out there, especially for our own journey.
Not to mention any names, but we worked really hard to connect.
I know.
We did not give up, and there was a reason. I am obsessed when I want somebody on.
I'm sorry. You know what it is? There are a lot of people contacting me, and it's kind of hard to do it all.
Right.
And I'm so grateful when I have my bit of spotted time and I can go, yes, let's do it this day. Let's do it this day. Because in the middle of producing the products, dealing with my clients, and doing a lot of press, it's kind of hard. But I'm so grateful when I have that somebody gives me the time like you have. And I really appreciate it.
Golly, it's my honor. So now, my followers are small potatoes compared to everything that you've been on.
No,
However,
there's no small potatoes.
The target, that's the important thing, is this is going out to the hair loss community for both of us.
Yeah, thank you.
The information that you are teaching us today is so important. And I know I'm going to edit it. It'll be on YouTube, and then, excuse me, it'll be up on my podcast. Let's see, today we are recording on a Wednesday. I should have this up by Friday at the latest. I have some.
Oh, you're amazing.
No, it's like, okay, Let's get this done.
Amazing. Well, I bless you, and I love your necklace. I just love that necklace.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I love that. What is that made of?
Leather.
No way. Isn't that beautiful?
Some crystals in this, and I think there's some
Wow, I
brass.
love that with your shirt and everything and your coloring. It's just gorgeous with that.
Oh, thank you. I thought, well, okay, today's Amy Day, so this is
You're so cute. No, you look beautiful, and I bless you.
You're
And
so
again,
kind.
thank you so much, Joan.
Thank
Really.
Oh, Amy, thank you so much. Everyone who's listening out there, everyone who's watching, thank you for tuning in. If you think this podcast will be helpful for someone you love, please share it. And please rate this on iTunes. I say that every time, but the more people that rate this or comment, the higher it goes in iTunes, and the more people will have access to the information. So please rate this on iTunes. And thank you so much to everybody who's listening and watching. And I'm going to go on YouTube, because while you were acting in daytime dramas, I was pulling out my hair and watching you.
Bless you. Bless you. Well,
So it's a real thrill to meet you in
people were
person.
you during that time. Well, have a beautiful week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amy.
Bye,
Bye
Joan.
bye. Bye, everyone.